Hi guys, Jack here from Bridge. Today we're going to take a look at the new Aeropress Clear. We're going to do a quick unboxing and see what the differences are between this and the original Aeropress. We're going to brew some coffee today, but I'm not going to give you my full recipe. If you want to see that video, I'll leave it as the first link down in the description. So I've had my original Aeropress for about 3 years. I got it for Christmas in 2020. And immediately I can tell that the box is definitely much smaller, and that's because they've cut out a few things from inside. So the first things you notice are the scoop and the paddle, which you still get in the box. Then you have the main brewer and some instructions, and the filter cap with some papers. So there's definitely a few cuts that they've made. I remember when I got the original Aeropress, it came with 350 filters, and this I think is 100. You still get the scoop and the stir stick, but there's two things missing that I got with the original Aeropress. So first up, you get this little cone or funnel. This had two uses. So if your cup was too small, you could use the funnel and then still be able to brew with the Aeropress on top, or it just helped you get the grounds inside the brewer like that. Now, I don't mind that they've cut this. I don't think I ever actually used it, and I got rid of mine pretty quickly. But there was one more thing that it came with, and that was a little holder for your filters. Definitely a bit of a shame that they've cut that out, because I'm not sure there's a great option for storing your filters otherwise, but I get that they're trying to cut down on waste and cost as well. Although I do think that out of the extras that it came with, this is probably the last one that I would have cut. I think the paddle and the scoop aren't really necessary for most people, especially if you're single dosing or weighing your beans, and you really can just use a teaspoon instead of this and it works absolutely fine. So yeah, definitely a bit of a shame that they've cut the filter holder. And then, as I mentioned, you're also getting less filters now. You're getting 100 instead of 350, which again is a bit of a shame, but they are still relatively cheap and you can buy them on the website. The brewer itself looks really nice. I'm a massive fan of the clear version. It means you can see your coffee a lot better whilst it's brewing. And if you're trying to do something like make a really level bed of coffee before you plunge, like I suggest in my recipe, then you can see that really clearly with the clear version. There are a few differences in build quality that I've noticed compared to the original design. For a start, the filter caps are very slightly different. On my version of the original, which I got in 2020, the filter cap has a little grid pattern for the holes, whereas on the clear version, you've got this sort of circular pattern that we first saw on the Aeropress Go. I don't think that really makes any difference to how the Aeropress brews, but it's definitely something to note. And the new cap that comes with the clear version is very slightly taller as well, slightly thicker, but they feel very similar and build quality feels pretty much identical. With the plungers, there's definitely a difference. On the original version, it was just one solid piece. There's no rims or bumps anywhere. Whereas on the new clear version, you've got 4 lined bumps going all the way around the plunger. Again, doesn't make any difference to how it brews. And actually, I think the clear version with the bumps might be slightly better. I think it helps keep the plunger a little bit straighter inside the brew chamber while you're plunging, though I'm not sure that makes any real difference on the brewing itself. On the main part of the chamber as well, there's definitely differences in build quality. Around the top section, there's some little scuffs and bumps from where the brewer was made, and you can tell just by looking at it that they've kind of sanded some bumps away. Bit of a shame because the brewer is really nice and transparent, other than these two sort of blurred, little bit translucent sections. And just out of interest, I wanted to see if all the parts were the same sizes, and it looks like they definitely are. All of the parts fit together from both brewers really nicely and are properly compatible and nice and tight. So it looks like all the sizes have remained pretty much identical, other than the slightly taller filter cap. So you can make a sort of Frankenstein Aeropress if you feel like it. The rubber parts on the plunger feels a little bit updated as well. It's definitely a lot easier to take off now compared to the old version, which helps with cleaning, and the material just feels a little bit more premium as well. And just to give you a sense of the kind of the feel of the materials, the original Aeropress from 2020 weighs 183 grams, whilst the new clear version weighs 232. So definitely feels a little bit more premium and weighty in the hand. So that's just a quick look and unboxing. I'll just brew a quick coffee just to show you what that looks like on the clear. So as I mentioned, I do think it is much easier to see the coffee being brewed with the clear. I think the clear is a really nice introduction from Aeropress. I think it's kind of what the community were calling out for. And I think it just makes the brewer look a little bit more Instagrammable compared to the sort of military green army camo style colors from the 2020 original. And I've definitely noticed the plunger does feel a little bit more stiff. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with the new material on the rubber part of the plunger, or whether it's just new and it will just loosen up over time. Probably a bit of both. It's definitely a lot more satisfying to see the coffee in the clear version than the original, and you can sort of judge the bed as you're pressing as well to make sure the coffee looks really nice and evenly distributed. And I got a nice flat bed of coffee there, which is good to see. So that was just a quick look at the new clear version of the Aeropress, and maybe you can decide now for yourself whether it's worth the bump up in price from the original model. I personally do think it's worth the bump in price. I do think it's a bit of a shame that you no longer get the funnel and the filter cap holder. I think if they were doing it just to cut down on plastic waste, I think they could have done away with these two as well, and I definitely would have kept the filter holder. But I also understand that they're trying to cut down on sort of packaging and shipping costs. And I get that these do still fit somewhat inside the brewer, so it's not as cumbersome when you've packaged the whole thing up. Once again, if you want to check out the Aeropress recipe video that we like to use, head to the first link in the description. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you next week.